there are 10 forms of psychological bondage that we have to escape from, just for starters, so that you have a sense of what I'm talking about, especially if you're new to Sat Yoga, when I refer to ego consciousness, which is that tiny sliver of the mind that identifies with the body and identifies with the operating system of the body, which is a set of algorithms of repetitious thought patterns that were installed in infancy by the parents and the family system as you acquired language, and developed further nuances, refinements, and subtle bondages as you internalize the family system and then the social system, and then whatever religious system or ethical system or other system in which you became trapped ideologically. So we need freedom from all ideological beliefs, all beliefs. And of course, we often cherish our beliefs, and we don't want to let them go. And so we have to look at our beliefs and see, is this really something that serves me by holding on to it, or does it create a bondage that prevents me from realizing my infinite nature? So the 10, I would say, the first is fear. People run scared. And there's two kinds of fear, really. We have phobic fear and we have anxiety. The phobic is situational or focused on an object. I'm afraid of spiders, or I'm afraid of snakes, or I'm afraid of whatever, name it. But it's a specific thing that then you try to avoid, and you spend your life avoiding it, and then occasionally being horrified when you have to face it. But you orbit around a certain fear. And then there's anxiety, which is a fear that's so generalized that it has no object. It's just a fear of life, a fear of death, a fear of what could happen, a fear of what did happen, a fear of dreaming about what happened and what could happen, and the ensuing paranoid fantasies that bring about what you fear, since the world is a dream and a projection. The second is depression. And depression can be caused by self-hatred, because one was not loved in childhood, or one was abused, traumatized, neglected, abandoned, etc. And one can hate the world for having done that to you, and be depressed because you can't open your heart and love anyone because you were too hurt, and you will never allow that again. And so, of course, you're going to feel depressed, because love is what it's all about. Anger is the third, and of course, anger can be based either on the frustration that you have at your inability to accomplish something, or it can be rage and fury at someone else for being an obstacle to your intentions, or having insulted you, or in some way challenged you and caused you to lose your poise and your sense of control of the territory. And then there is the bondage of pride. And pride here is hubris, the pride of the ego, which is based on an illusory superiority complex. and on an illusion of control. So, and then of course, the bondage of guilt, and that can be based on a real basis of behavior, of cheating, lying, or something else that your ethical system makes you feel guilty for. Or it can just be a sense of guilt that your birth and your existence was too much trouble for your mother and your father, and you're guilty for just being alive and disturbing their life plans because you weren't planned, and your life interrupted their dreams of being a ballerina and a rock star or whatever it happened to be, right? So you can have a sense of guilt totally based on a fantasy like that. And then there's, of course, the really mean one, shame, which is the inferiority complex, and or a sense of unworthiness, unlovability. And then one of the most popular ones in the time of capitalistic intentionality is busyness. People love to stay busy, rajasic. And you can either be busy with routine things, oh, I've got to clean the house, I can't meditate, and I've got to, walk the dog, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. I'm always too busy to realize the self. Or you're in a high-pressure situation where there's a time constraint and you have to solve a problem immediately, and you're under stress and strain, and there's one problem after another that keeps you far too occupied with problem solving for being able to escape from the problem that you are to yourself. Then, of course, there's the bondage of boredom, and there are many people who live very boring lives, and they're bored with their lives because they're not fully alive. They're living at far less than their potential, and in states in which they have compromised and given up on their hero's journey because of security, money, some other attachment in which they have sacrificed their true heart's yearning for that great escape in order to take care of others and be a good girl or boy, etc. But then end up with very boring, meaningless lives. Even though they may be very comfortable, they produce a kind of quiet agony. And then there's the bondage of those who are spaced out and who prefer to be spaced out. And this is a personality strategy in a way, but it can become a constitutional way of being, that one is just always not really here, but not in a state of enlightenment or liberation, but just in a state of like an autistic retreat, a retreat into an inability to think, not a transcendence of thought, but a laziness of the mind that prefers to sleep or be drunk on something that will just cause you to black out or tune out through some mindless means. And then there are the narcissistic enjoyments that are more positive, which is you can get fascinated by some new digital object, that's available, or some toy of some kind, or some enjoyment of the desire of the other. Whatever it is, that fascination is temporary and will also lead to a dead end of boredom and of meaninglessness. But it at least creates a temporary stimulation and a release from boredom, but it doesn't release you very far. So it's a very tiny escape. How many people have gone through these 10 forms of bondage? And okay, are you ready to let go of those now and be free for the great escape? Good, because none of those ways of living will serve you. And you'll ultimately regret it. So this is the time to complete that hero's journey. Because what we want to escape from is the ego, but also in the ego there is the illusion of karma, suffering, and other kinds of bondages that are created by the ego mind that keeps you earthbound and unable to conquer certain fears, like the fear of death and pain and loss and abandonment and isolation and loneliness, etc. They limit the creative intelligence that you can access. The ego mind is just a tiny sliver of your complete consciousness, and it has veiled its access to the unlimited self in order to be able to focus on the illusion of pseudo-agency of the ego that is dedicating its consciousness to the well-being of its body, to the health of its body, to the beauty of its body, to the status in society, to all of the other goals that we are indoctrinated into wanting to have as egos, and being successful, and finally trying to be loved and valued by your grandchildren or others in your life, so that you can redeem a sense of you having wasted most of your life. And so you try to externalize and connect with others in order to create certain effects that you're not able to actually transmit because you haven't achieved yourself freedom from the ego, so you can't really offer it to anyone else yet. So, in the movie, they were in a prison camp of the Nazis, and they decided that the best way out that wouldn't be detected was tunneling out. And I think that's a good metaphor. And they made several tunnels, and the traditional approach to the Great Escape takes one of 4 tunnels, okay? Now, my suggestion is you actually combine all of these in one much larger reality tunnel, but you can get through the barrier using any of these 4 tunnels.